Welcome to Coffee and Popcorn, where we bring you the most striking stories from around the world. Today, we have a story about a husband who just found out that his wife's been texting her ex-partner. Needless to say, he's not too happy about it.
My wife and I have been together for 8 years, and we've been married for 4. Before me, she was with someone for 7 years, and they broke up 2 years before we got together. We're both in our mid-30s, and honestly, married life's been lovely. We've had some dry spells, but generally, our sex life's good, and we're both emotionally involved. About 6 months ago, we were driving, and she mentioned that her ex reached out to her via text because her friend at work accidentally called him when he borrowed her phone to make a call. That seemed weird, but I didn't think anything of it because it's not the type of story you'd make up. My wife passed it off and said they just exchanged a few messages to catch up. And that was it. For context, they weren't friends before they started dating. And they haven't been in contact since they broke up. This is mostly because he was still in love with her and couldn't just be friends. Fast forward to about 4 weeks ago, and we were driving. She left the car to go into a shop, leaving her phone behind. I'm not the jealous type, but her phone was facing me, and I saw her ex's name pop up through a notification. Alarm bells started going off, but I trusted my wife 100%, so I brushed it off and never said anything to her. 2 weeks go by, and I'd been monitoring her behavior. I noticed that she was texting a lot, and sometimes she angled the phone away from me so I couldn't see. As my anxiety built up, I decided to confront her about it. I asked if she was in contact with her ex, and she openly admitted that they've been in touch since he messaged her, but it's not very often. They share details about what they're up to and fun things that have happened. We had a discussion about it, and I told her, I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with it, and can't understand why she's been hiding it from me. She said she was subconsciously hiding it from me because she knew I'd be upset, but that it was all innocent. She offered to stop messaging him if I felt uncomfortable, and as I said earlier, I trusted her with all my heart, and truly believed that it was innocent. Still, it hurt me. I didn't ask to see the messages, because I didn't want to cross a boundary that might impact our relationship. In the end, we agreed that she can keep texting him, but she can't hide it from me anymore. The following night, we were in bed, and it was about midnight when I turned over and saw her messaging someone. Instantly, I felt my stomach tighten, so I asked who she was talking to. She said it was her ex and that she was just telling him about our day. I let it be because I didn't really know what to feel, and I wanted to give myself time. The following afternoon, we spoke about it, and agreed that it seemed like this would be an issue, so she agreed to message him and let him know that they can't talk anymore. Well, while they were messaging, he was able to convince her to keep texting. He even said that his girlfriend knows and is happy to chat with me to reassure me that it's innocent. I felt like this was a weird game, and this is where my anger started to kick in. I thought our discussions would have been enough to show her that I wasn't comfortable with this, hoping that she'd make this call on her own so we could be more secure in our relationship. I told her that it was up to her, regarding what she wanted to do, but this kind of backfired when she said that she'll keep in touch with him because she doesn't have many friends. We recently moved to a new state and haven't met anyone yet, and we've been a bit isolated, so I do understand where she's coming from. Another 2 days went by, and I couldn't take it anymore. I'm not an emotional person, but my moral compass was in a state of alert. We sat down, and I let her know that we needed to set some boundaries, because I think talking to an ex, someone we aren't friends with, is a boundary we shouldn't cross. She was upset, but agreed, and wanted to put us first. After that conversation, she messaged him, and told him that they couldn't talk, and then she blocked him. I really appreciated her listening to me and responding to the conversation, but I could see that she was hurt. I then started reading things online about red flags, and was almost kicking myself for not noticing them earlier. That's what drove me to review our phone plan usage data. What I found almost made me have a panic attack. My chest got tight and I struggled to breathe. The text log showed that she'd been chatting with her ex for a year, and they were sending 10 to 40 messages and pictures nearly every day. They often spoke at night at 2 a.m. while I was asleep next to her. My heart sank. I inevitably thought my amazing wife was cheating on me, at least emotionally. Based on the data, I wrote down some questions like, when did it start? How often were you messaging him? Did you meet up when you went back to visit your family? Because of course, he lives in the same city as her parents. I called my wife and asked her to sit down with me. She seemed scared and could see that I was visibly upset. I told her that I was going to ask a series of questions and that I wanted her to be honest. She was slightly confused but agreed. I asked the first question, and she said she didn't remember how long she'd been chatting with her ex, but she thought it was only a few months. To the second question, she said they spoke every couple of days, and for the third question, she completely denied that they met in person. I knew she was lying about the first two, so when I brought up the timeline and evidence that showed the duration and volume of texts, she said she couldn't remember, and that it didn't seem like they were texting all the time. Now, their conversations were innocent, as they only shared dog pictures and talked about us doing stuff together. It was never flirty or too personal. During this conversation, we were both very emotional and honest. I nearly broke down because she cried continuously. It was a horrible talk. She told me that I could look through the messages, but 2 weeks prior to this, she changed phones. She went and got her old phone, charged it, and then opened it. She handed me the phone and went to our room crying. I didn't know what I'd find, but my gut feeling was that it'd be naughty talk and reminiscing about old times. First, I scrolled through quickly to see if any flirty messages or pictures popped up, but there was nothing out of the ordinary. I then used the data from the phone's account to check if any messages were deleted, and scrolled through to the dates where their messages would go on until 2 in the morning. It seemed like they were all there, and again, they were quite innocent. They were literally sending dog pictures to each other in the early hours of the morning. I was confused, upset, and relieved at the same time. Now, there were messages that were personal about our relationship, regarding some plans and stuff like that, but I didn't want to snoop too much, because I was feeling sick and betrayed, but I also felt like I was invading her privacy. My hurt came from the deceit of her hiding this relationship from me for a year. I also noted to myself that I loved her and still trusted her. We spoke about it, cried, and talked about boundaries and how we could move forward. Over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we became more open, emotionally aware, and physically available for each other, more so than we've been in a long time. It was like a light turned on, and we realized that we were super happy and thankful for what we have. We have an amazing life, good finances, hobbies, dogs, and interests, so this scare woke us up to how good we've got it. I won't lie. I still get upset and bring it up with her every so often. I ask questions and tell her my thoughts. It's like my brain's searching for red flags. I can't believe that I didn't notice this was going on for a year. She's taken full responsibility and assured me that she'll never do anything like that again. She apologized and realized how it looked, and knows that she crossed a line. If I'm being honest, even though I'm upset, a part of me feels guilty for asking her to stop talking to him. Not because it was him, but because she needs friends, and I know how important they are for a healthy relationship. I was never jealous, but now I'm worried that the guilt of not seeing this sooner has changed me. Since all this started, I've had jealous thoughts that I can't shake. Does anyone have any advice on how to get over it quicker? I really don't want to change and become possessive.
My first question is, why does she have her ex's phone number after so many years? Surely if they were no contact, the best thing would have been to delete it. That said, it's possible that her ex's number backed itself up from a Google account or something like that. When OP noticed a few red flags, but didn't want to address them because he trusted his wife, that was a huge mistake. A lot of people who get cheated on never thought their partner could do something like that, so you shouldn't ignore your gut if you feel like something's off. OP mentioned that they moved to a new state and haven't made any friends yet, which is why his wife was in contact with her ex. I call BS on this. Talking with ex-lovers on a daily basis isn't going to do anything but damage the relationship you have with your current partner. During the time she was messaging her ex, she went home to visit family, and while I don't have any proof, my gut's telling me that they met up, even if it was an innocent meeting. I can't see two people talking that much and not want to meet up when the opportunity comes up. OP shouldn't feel guilty about checking his wife's phone. If his partner didn't do something to introduce doubt into the relationship, he wouldn't have had a reason to. Let's see what our friends are saying in the comments.
Abbreviations Old says, no matter what anyone tells you, if you're uncomfortable and it's a boundary you don't want your partner to break, don't let anyone gaslight you with words like controlling or insecure. It's one thing to be amicable with your ex and to message every once in a while, but messaging daily is a huge no-no. Exes have history, past emotions, and people like to keep them on the back burner, but this is most likely going to corrupt the new relationship. I don't know how you'll explain it to her, but hopefully you'll be patient and calm. She needs to know that it's wrong, and if she continues, you might have to end the relationship. Good luck. Cranach says, "The weird part you mentioned at the end is not weird. She knows what she did, and she knows that she lied to you, and now tries to make it up by being more present for you and having more sex. In addition, she's got much more time available for you now, and she's able to be present since she's no longer texting her ex all the time, thinking about him, and waiting for his texts. Don't feel guilty for standing up for yourself, or for installing boundaries to show her that lying to you has consequences. Imagine if she told you right from the start about their contact, and showed it to you every now and then. The situation wouldn't have escalated the way it did. To be honest, if they were texting each other 10 to 40 times a day and she went to her hometown without you, do you really think they didn't meet up? I doubt that very much. Maybe they didn't have sex, but I guarantee you if they got the chance, they met. In my opinion, you should get her old phone, or find a way to restore all the messages and tell her that you don't believe her, and that you'll read all the texts from before, during, and after her visit back home. She lied to you already because of him, so don't believe her blindly. Learn from the past, don't make the same mistake again. She only confessed because you were able to prove otherwise. If you can't restore the old messages, at least check the time on the text logs to see if they're the same as they were before, during, and after her visit back home. Aside from checking her messages, I would advise you to check the call logs for when she was in her hometown. If there are hour-long calls with her ex, I might believe that they didn't meet up, and instead used the chance to switch from texting to calling. But if there are no calls, or only short calls, I guarantee you that they met. How would she feel if you did what she did? How would she react? What would she expect you to do? Would she feel betrayed? In my opinion, cheating starts when you do something with another person, and you feel the need to hide it from your partner. In such situations, the person knows it'll cause trouble, and might even risk their relationship. If they make the decision to contact this other person, and then start to lie and hide what they're doing, it's cheating. When your wife said that she didn't tell you about what she did to protect your feelings, she did exactly what I described. She knew very well that what she did would hurt you, and then decided that being in contact with her ex was more important to her than the possibility of hurting you, or the possible consequences that this could have on your marriage. She knew the whole time that what she did would hurt you, and she accepted that outcome. I wish you the best.
The whole checking of the call logs and times for when OP's partner went home is some real detective work. But this commenter has a point. If there was a change in how his partner and her ex spoke while she was home, it might suggest that they met up. Since we're playing detective today, it's also possible that she called her ex from her parents' landline. If she did, there'd be no record of that on her phone. If OP's wife really wanted to hide what she was doing, she could have got a temporary phone. I hope OP can find peace after all this, because nobody deserves to have their heart messed with. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.